Let me test the volume. I always test the volume first thing. I come on just a few minutes early to take care of that. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I think you're on mute, but I think you can hear me. Okay, so this is how we do our meetings every week. I come on just a couple of minutes early so that I test to make sure you guys can see me, I can see you. It feels kind of strange today because I can't hear myself through the speakers, so I'll try to adjust that as well. And we don't have to look at each other the whole time. That's the best part. It's a little bit uncomfortable looking at each other. So what I usually do is I share my screen, and we use the PowerPoint as a guide. And that's what keeps me on task and focused because I'm very, very ADHD. So it's good to be focused and have a guide. Okay, so this is the week 1 Zoom meeting for Applied Research Methods 503. We're a little bit busy at St. Thomas this week. I don't know if you guys know, but our term that just ended actually didn't end. So I have students from last term who have 2 weeks left into your guys' term. So I'm actually teaching 2 classes at the same time right now. So we have more meetings, more videos, more papers to grade because Hurricane Irma delayed things for a lot of people. So if I seem a little bit spastic because of that, it's because I work full-time, I teach part-time for St. Thomas, and I also teach part-time for a college here on ground. So I kind of have 3 jobs. And then having 2 St. Thomas classes running at the same time is pretty challenging. So nonetheless, we're still going to get it done, and we're going to do it very well. Just a little bit about me. My name is Tracy Sands. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. My husband is retired from the Marine Corps, but this is actually our home state. We've lived in several different states: Texas, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky. I'm sure I'm leaving something out. Several states. We can't even remember all of them. And so we have 3 children. My oldest son is 25, just got married this summer. My daughter is 22. She graduated from a local university here in Tennessee. And then our youngest child is 16, almost 17. I've been working in the field of education almost 20 years. I was a principal for 10 years. I've worked in K through 8, 6 through 8, 9 through 12 schools. So I've been a principal at all of those levels. So I do have experience both with public schools and parochial schools as well. And so the reason why I teach is because when I became an administrator, I missed that interaction with students. And so as my son got older and needed me more, I actually took a few years off from being an administrator and taught full-time college classes. And now I'm back in public schools again and teaching from 7 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. So it's okay. And so this class I take very seriously. One of my strengths is that I do give very quick feedback, very specific feedback. So when I read your papers, I actually, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like you can't hear me. Here's what I'm going to do. Let's try this.
I'm sorry, I'm driving, you guys. So if I'm like looking like not at you guys completely, I gotta keep my eyes on the road.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm going to put everybody on mute so that we don't hear the background.
There's no.
Now, can you hear me now? All right, it's like Verizon. Okay. So what I was saying is that I had you guys on mute and I had me on mute. So that's a great way to start the term. Sometimes with online classes, you're bombarded with reading material and PowerPoints and material coming from all different directions. And I will just go ahead and tell you, my focus is getting you ready for your assignment. And if the assignment is valuable, then you should be able to complete the assignment based on my instructions. So a couple of terms ago, I worked with the curriculum writers to completely revamp this course. So if you will watch the Wednesday video, you will have enough information to do your assignments. The next best resource is your textbook. This textbook is actually extremely helpful and written in language that most people can understand. I will be honest with you, I've been teaching with St. Thomas for 3 years now, and I teach 3 different courses. I have never read the PowerPoints, ever. I've never read the PowerPoints that go with the class. They're probably helpful to you, especially if you don't have an undergraduate degree in education, but I try to take the information that's from the textbook and I try to teach you from my own experiences and provide you with supplementary materials so that you can complete the assignments. We only have 5 weeks. So we have to jump in. Like today you have an introduction due, and today you have an initial discussion board due, and you probably haven't even looked at your resources yet for your annotated bibliography. Before, the literature review was the first assignment, and there was no way to get you accustomed to APA. So just so you know, in case you didn't read the first announcement, I do not grade the discussion boards until Thursday. So you actually have 24 more hours to get your initial post done so that you can use this video as guidance for your first assignment. My students have told me that that helps a whole lot. So you know that now. So one habit to get into is make sure you check your announcements daily. If I have information that I need to share with everyone, instead of sending an email and hoping that you answer it, and are you answering your STU email or are you answering your Canvas email, I will throw it up on announcements. And if you have your settings set correctly, you should get a notification that there has been a new announcement. I do this frequently, and when you have an assignment that maybe isn't that clear, I provide you with templates and examples through announcements very often. I just posted a document that is a template for the APA formatted annotated bibliography this week. So I'll be providing that to you, talking with you about it in a little bit, few seconds. This course is 5 weeks. It's fast-paced. It's three times faster than a standard semester course. So you're expecting to do 3 times the amount of work than a normal graduate course. That's why I'm very particular about the assignments I give you, because I want them to have value. The goal of this class is to create a research proposal in APA format. You won't actually conduct the study, but you will prepare for a study and follow each of the steps, the end result being weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5 synthesized into one document. So that you know that the whole goal of this course is to learn how to write APA format, how to locate research-based peer-reviewed sources, and I will show you how to do that, and how to create a research proposal. Now, our grading scale is listed here just like it is in the syllabus, and I just want to spend a moment to tell you that I follow the grading scale exactly. I follow the rubric exactly. Of course, I round up. If you get a 92.5, then a 93 is your grade. But just be aware that in order to continue in this program without repeating a course, you need to have an 80 or better. If you make a C or less than that, you have to repeat the class. Now, let me tell you this much. Every assignment is eligible for resubmission in my class. Not all professors do this, but if I give you specific feedback, then I am going to give you the opportunity in a 24-hour turnaround to resubmit that assignment with no penalty at all. You can get full credit. If you take advantage of those opportunities, then you can easily get an A. But I will tell you that this will be like nothing you've done before. APA format is totally different than other research formats that you may have done. So basically, I'm going to, hang on. Now you guys are at the bottom of my screen rather than at the top.
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, my question for you. I know that we were supposed to do our discussion board today, and I submitted a discussion board. I still was a little bit unclear because I know it said about your topic. Is this topic something that we are just picking? Because I picked a cure for cancer, so I just didn't know.
In just a second, I'll talk about the topics. That's like 1 or 2 slides down the road, and I'll get to that in just a minute. I will give you some specific guidance on that. Okay, so you will receive grades based on the rubric and the assignment expectations. Before you do your assignment, look up the rubric in Ember Speed Grader and look at the expectations. The rubric is also posted just above the assignment area where you submit online. Late assignments that are more than 24 hours late are not accepted, but within 24 hours, you can earn up to 50% credit. That's how graduate school is very different. If we have only 5 weeks in class, 1 day late is like a week late on the timeline. So if you have an emergency and you know you have an assignment coming up and it's going to be late, contact me immediately so that we can work out a plan, because late assignments will really hurt you when we have an assignment and 2 discussion boards due every week. Extra credit, assignment extensions, and exceptions to the late policy are not permitted. As a matter of fact, the 50% policy that I have is more lenient than St. Thomas. St. Thomas's policy is no late work, period. So I see a mistake on my PowerPoint. So the next slide that I am wanting to show you, which I will show every week, is that your initial posts are due Wednesdays by midnight. However, I give you an extension until Thursday without penalty. Your written assignments are due on Saturdays by midnight, and your discussion board replies, you should reply to 2 other people, are due by Sunday at 11:59. Now, the last week of class, the Sunday assignment is actually due on Saturday. So when we talk about previewing literature, let me talk about the topic first. So because you're getting a degree in the field of education, a master's degree, a Master of Arts degree in education, or a doctorate degree in education, your topic should be grounded in education. If you're planning to work with adults, you can discuss adult training and adult education components. But the bottom line is it has to be a topic in the field of education. And the journals that I will share with you and the databases that I will share with you are based on the field of education. So if you've chosen the cancer topic, you can change your topic and repost before tomorrow night, and there will be no problem with that change. So when you preview the literature, and what you're doing this week is you're scanning a broad collection of journal articles for your annotated bibliography. The reason why we have the annotated bibliography is so that you can learn APA formatting and get feedback on that, and so that you can learn to locate research-based, peer-reviewed resources. Wikipedia is not a peer-reviewed source. Edutopia is not a peer-reviewed source. Peer-reviewed journals are published articles from actual researchers. And so the week after, week 2, you will be previewing more specifically from those sources in your annotated bibliography to identify a specific problem area. So it's good to know, like, for example, if you're interested in inclusion, which the concept is that special education students are included with general education students, the topic that you would search would be inclusion. And so then you can find out more information there. So if you're into adult ed, you might research topics in the area of adult education. So you do need to be within the field of education for your topic. So the first thing you do is identify a problem area, a broad area of study, for example, teacher-student relationships. You examine the literature which are professional journal articles or books that have been published, and examples are listed there. Then you identify a research question. This is in step 3. This is not in the second week. The research question, the hypothesis, or the purpose of the study. So as you look at your topic and you scan through general articles on your topic, you start to narrow your focus to a problem area. For example, why are 80% of our students not on grade level by the time they get to 8th grade? Then as you narrow that, so you might choose 5 out of your 10 sources in your annotated bibliography to focus your research, and then you develop a research question, a question to answer, a phenomenon to explain, or a hypothesis to test. So we start general and we move very specifically, and then by week 4, we're talking about one specific study and one question we're going to answer or a hypothesis to test. So an example might be, how are relationships between teachers and students established? That is a research question. So as I said before, in your topic for study, you're going to focus on the field of education. You're going to focus on a database that collects articles on education. So you're probably not going to find very much if you Google your sources. I have students who have tried to use Merriam-Webster.com, even as recent as last week, after being in my class for 5 weeks. Please make sure you follow the instructions on the database, because you have access to St. Thomas University's entire library. So when you preview the literature, you might ask, why journal articles and research-based books? These items are based on empirical research. And what empirical research is basically, I conduct a study, I test a hypothesis, and then I write about it. And then I have professional peers who also critique my work and try to test the credibility and verify whether or not this was a true study. So sometimes we have resources as educators that are just teacher ideas, and they might be great ideas, but they're probably not always research-based. And from all of this empirical research, theories in the field of education emerge, and the consistency is built there. So I am going to give you a copy of this PowerPoint presentation in announcements. You will have these exact slides that you can manipulate slide by slide. Whenever you come to a slide that says click here or changes from an arrow to a fingertip, it will take you to a link that you can use as a resource. So that link took you to St. Thomas's library. Now, because I'm already signed in, it isn't prompting me to sign in, but the first screen you will see is a prompt to sign in. What you're going to do is you're going to search databases, A to C databases. There are 2 specific databases that are successful for education research. One is JSTOR, and the other one is the Education Research database. It's called ERIC, and I believe EBSCOhost is the collector. So I try to get students to use EBSCOhost as the primary database. So now it's prompting me to log in.
Do we have to use the St. Thomas Library? Because I'm still able to access my old university since I just graduated in August. So I was wondering, could I use University of Tennessee's library?
Yes, you may use University of Tennessee's library, by the way, which is just right down the street from me. However, you need to make sure in your search you click on peer reviewed. So here it's giving you parameters. So you want to make sure you choose full text so that you have the entire article. So my keyword goes here. So let's say I put the word inclusion. And I hit search. So after there are only 8,372 full text resources on this topic, by the way. So there are many, 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 many articles. So then you'll go to the left-hand side and you'll click peer review. That will reduce the number of articles by half. And then you are supposed to use articles within the past 10 years to be more effective. So I'm going to put 2007 to 2017, and there are still 3,000 peer-reviewed articles in this database. So if you want to narrow even closer, you might say inclusion in middle school. If you want to specifically focus on middle school, there we have 15 articles. So that's the process that you go through to search for peer-reviewed articles. I will tell you that you will not pass this class if you are unable to locate peer-reviewed resources. They do not have to be from St. Thomas, but they do have to be from bona fide peer-reviewed resources. So I've already gone through this step, so if you need to walk through it. So the process that we go through in this class is called synthesis. It's where you take information from multiple sources and put those ideas together to create an original idea. The key here is that you put all of these pieces and parts together from different research, different journal entries, and you create a big picture from very specific information in your literature review. But even based on what our author says for our textbook, synthesis is creating a whole picture of what is and what is not known to show how diverse information comes together and makes sense. So when you do your literature review, you're going to point out what you have found, but you're also going to indicate what you haven't found, what's missing in the literature. And that's what's going to demand, my dog is going crazy back there, I'm sorry. That's what's going to demand that you have the study. You want to see a need for your study. So that's something I will also help you with. But you cannot synthesize information from one or two sources. Synthesis has to come from several resources, and it also adds credibility to your argument if you're demonstrating a need for the study. All right, so about revising and submitting, I'm shifting gears a little bit here. Any complete written assignment that is turned in on time may be revised and resubmitted for full credit within 24 hours of the grade being posted on Canvas. What does this mean? This means that from the moment I give you a grade and post feedback, you should receive a notification. From that moment, you have 24 hours to open up that document, make adjustments and changes, and resubmit it. The key is you have to email me and let me know on St. Thomas STU, because I have to delete that assignment, the old assignment, before space is made for you to resubmit. So if you don't let me know, if you let me know 15 minutes before your deadline, you might miss out, because I am not available after 11 or before 5:30 in the morning. So usually after 5:30 a.m. and up until 11, I'm available online. The other thing is late assignments may not be resubmitted. Okay, they're already late. We're already moving into the next week. So if you turn in an assignment on Saturday night, usually by first thing Monday morning, you have feedback from me. If it's a discussion board and you post on Thursday, Friday I give you some feedback so that I can help direct your replies, and then it's due on Sunday. Usually by Monday afternoon, you have feedback. So it's a very, very quick turnaround. Now, one of the videos that I put in the announcements, I'm not sure if everybody had the opportunity to take a look at it, but Turnitin.com is a plagiarism prevention tool that St. Thomas uses. There is a similarity score that notifies the instructor the percentage of borrowed text. Now, borrowed text is not necessarily wrong, but if it's improperly cited or inappropriately utilized, meaning you didn't give credit where credit was due, then it's going to cause a red flag. None of your assignments should ever be over 25% borrowed, and I will show you what that looks like when you turn it in. If sometimes on the first assignment, I have large numbers of similarity because you're doing an annotated bibliography. And I do anticipate that you'll have around 30% from time to time just on this assignment. If you have more than 25%, I will reply to you, let you know what your percentage is. I may take a couple of screenshots from Turnitin and show you specific mistakes. And if there's a pattern, you have 24 hours to turn it in corrected. back in to turn it in, and there's a 25% penalty. Now, this is scary. I know this is scary because the first week we struggle with it, but I'm very kind to you in the first week, and I work with you, and I explain to you, this is what you've done wrong. So when you turn it in to me the first time and I see that you have 40, 50% similar, which should not happen, I will reply to you and say, you are over the limit on your similarity score. You have 24 hours. That submission, that second submission, is your final submission. Otherwise, we're flipping around all week long to resubmissions, and we're not really growing and being held accountable. So this is what it looks like to me. When you turn your assignment in, I get a number that's highlighted and the percentage. When you turn your paper in to turn it in, you will see that number after it's submitted.
Okay.
I have allowed my students to see the turn it in percent. I think we have to be transparent here. So I don't play games with you on that. So if you get like a 40 or a 50%, you know you should probably go ahead and start rewriting. But I am almost instant letting you know your percentage is too high. So this is what it looks like when I open a paper. Anything that matches any paper ever submitted ever online or published, doesn't have to be published if it was submitted, the system highlights the matching words and it gives it a number. That number coincides with a source. For example, everything in this paper that has a number 2 came from irispeabody.vanderbilt. Sorry about that. Which means this was a paper that was submitted at Vanderbilt University. So see how all of this is number 2? All of this came from number 2. This was submitted at missouri.edu. So this brilliant student dumped all of this information into this paper and thought they were really smart by using the same reference. See here? They said they used Sjogren. This is not Sjogren's work. Of course, that's the original resource. But they didn't borrow from Sjogren. They borrowed from a student who submitted at Missouri. That's why I take the time to explain to you guys, it is okay to go into these studies and find sources that they have used and locate those articles and use those articles for your resources, but do not state what the other person said about that resource, okay? Even if you use information from a formally submitted paper, it will show up on Turnitin. Another one, Utah Valley State College. So that's your little preview of what I see with Turnitin. So make sure you watch that 5-minute video clip because it's very helpful in showing you exactly what happens. This is a quick link to a tutorial on appropriate discussion board etiquette. I'm not going to show you the whole thing.
One way that we used to.
I am not going to show you any of it, but this is what it looks like. It explains to you what you should say, what you should not say. Remember that discussion boards are not texting and they're not chat rooms. Everything you submit to me on a discussion board or in a formal document should be written in standard English. Okay, smiley faces, emoticons, all of that stuff, gone. You are a professional graduate student now. We are not texting each other. Okay, so that's a little bit of a growth curve too. So what I try to do every week is go through the instructions with you. So these are the instructions for your journal article review. You're literally going to copy and paste one review that you're putting in your annotated bibliography and simply copy it and paste it. Don't attach a document to your discussion board. It takes so much time for other students to open up those documents and read them that they forget what they're replying to. Your formatting will not be perfect, but it will not count off because spacing is off in the discussion board window. So you're selecting one of your most useful articles, and to be honest, your only article. Let's be honest. You haven't done it yet. Locate an article. Follow the template that's provided for you. Copy and paste it into your discussion. The annotated bibliography is a summary and a critique. You are telling us whether or not you believe what they say and if it applies to your topic. See how it applies to your topic. Include one paraphrase and one quote. Now, I have examples of what APA quotes and paraphrases look like in the slides that are attached to the end, even if we don't have time to go over it. So make sure you follow these instructions. This is the rubric for discussion board. Very general, logically organized, easily followed with no ambiguities or irrelevancies. I have 10 minutes, you guys. Basically, it says, are you presenting in a professional format? So you would lose points on poor grammar, inappropriate punctuation, APA format being out of line, or not answering the question. That's a pretty easy grade. The response is where it gets a little harder. You have to integrate multiple perspectives. So if I said, hey, Judith, I love what you had to say about that. I'm going to try that in my classroom. Okay, that's a nice compliment. You could start out that way, but my job is to challenge you with a question or a suggestion where it says value as a seed for reflection, including other discussions, views. You're proving to me that you are doing the research and you are communicating with other students. That's what the post is about for the response. It's not that difficult if you start out in the beginning, use the rubric and use the instructions. I have tons of students who ignore the instructions. For this assignment, annotated bibliography, you need at least 10 peer-reviewed scholarly sources. You know where you can find them. You know they have to be in the field of education. The annotated bibliography for APA format is very specific. If you Google annotated bibliography, you're going to get 5,000 different versions of an annotated bibliography. We've all done it. So I am giving you a specific example in announcements, which I will talk to you about momentarily. Use the Purdue Online Writing Lab. Use the APA template. Use the sources that I have added that are better than other things that you might take a look at. Now, this says they should be published within the last 5 years. I broaden that to 10 years because some of these topics have not been revived within the past 5. So here is the rubric. Very specific. I'm not going to go over it word by word because we're running out of time, but you have access to this when you go in to submit your assignment. So the template from announcements looks like this. Now, this format is not a suggestion. This format is a requirement, all the way down to the word running head, colon, an abbreviated title in all caps, and a number on the top right-hand corner. All the way down to exactly how you listed the title page. And this is an example of an annotated bibliography. Authors, last name, comma, first initial, comma. Every detail matters. The and symbol in between the second to last and the last author, the year, period. I can't tell you how many times I've said this to students over and over and over. In APA format, you use sentence case capitalization. You do not capitalize every word of the title in APA. Only the first word or a word that follows a colon. It's very different from modern language association format. I also teach college English, and it's like I live in 2 different worlds. Even book titles, same thing. Then your journal is italicized. This is actually wrong, and I correct that every video. And if it has page numbers, even if it's an online source, you list them. Notice there's no P in front of those page numbers. The journal number is italicized. The issue number is not. So it's a specific format. Now, what I've done for you is I tell you, this section is the annotation. This is what you do. If you need help, you go here. This I explain to you in very, very plain terms, and then I give you an example. All right? Then I have in green and italicized, please delete this before you submit the assignment, what this should look like. So if you use the resources that I provide for you, this can be done. Okay, I have students with a 100 average and I have students with a 42 average. It's because some listen and some do not. Now, at the end of this PowerPoint presentation, I have samples of APA citations and references. So this is an example of how you put it in your sentence with a quote. This is an example, another example of a standard direct quote. This is an example of an author who published the book but had begun the book before. I have every possible example in this PowerPoint. I promise you there will not be an example that does not fit. This came from a 359-page document that I wrote. So every possible example has been critiqued over and over and over. It was torture. I'm trying to make it easier for you. So then I'm going to speed through these because you have access to this PowerPoint. The references. I call it reverse indent. It's actually called hanging indent. You indent the second line. You don't need a reference list on your annotated bibliography because the references are built in. But every other document you create will look like this. Notice capital at the beginning, italicized journal, volume number, page number. It looks the same every time. Then if you continue to look, I've given you examples on different types of publications. If you print anything, print this presentation. It will help you. It's designed to help you. If you have a source with no author, you probably won't for this assignment, but you might for other classes. I've included a link on how to cite resources that have no author. So I'm trying to give you everything you need right here to do your assignments this week. So now we have about 3 minutes before I have to start paying for the Zoom. Does anybody have any questions? And if you do, unmute yourself.
All right. I have one question.
Okay.
All right. Well, first, let me start by saying good evening. I'm a teacher, but I want to, research higher education issues. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm in the public education sector, which is high school, middle school. Mm-hmm. But like, for example, if I want to research ESC accommodations or how is special education needs for students that might need it addressed at that level, is that a topic that I could pick as well? Or
yes, that's an excellent topic. And I will just go ahead and tell you, you might want to look up some information on the state of Tennessee because we have Tennessee Promise, and any student with a high school diploma can go to college free here for the first 2 years. And in that includes IEP accommodations for those students. So I would look at accommodations for special needs students at the university level, something along those lines, and how it works in the college classroom. That's actually an excellent topic. Anybody else? Okay, we have less than a minute. I'm available by email. If you want me to respond quickly, send it to tsands@stu.edu rather than Canvas. I only get notifications once a day from Canvas. I hope this PowerPoint and this presentation has cleared up some things for you. I usually have great success with students who watch the video afterwards, which will be posted on YouTube, and use the PowerPoint. I will submit both of those before 9 o'clock tonight. All right? Thank you very much. It was great to meet you. Take care.
Bye.